So today I have Ellen Jones, Delivering with Ellen on YouTube, and I think she's got some other platforms too that we'll talk about, and I will put the links in the show notes. Ellen, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, here, let me switch the screen here a little bit. I've got a weird view going. There we go. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you come into delivery? When did you come into delivery? I know I see from your videos it was August of this year that you started doing creating, but when did you start delivering and deciding this was something you were going to do?
Well, it kind of all started probably around, and I'm bad with years, but probably between 2018 and 2019.
Uh-huh.
And a friend of mine, Angie, she was on, she started doing Uber Eats, and she told me about it. And the first thing I said to her was, I don't want to take people in my car. And she's like, no, it's not ride share, it's delivery. So she, and I'm like, well, so what do you mean? She's like, well, you go to the restaurant and you get, I mean, it was literally like so new to me. Like, even though pizza's been delivered and Chinese food, but it's been so, that concept was so new to me. I'm like, you mean you go to restaurants and you get people their food and I don't know why. So, and she said she made like really good money doing that. But I was like, well, and she's like, I can work anytime, whatever. So it was kind of always on the back of my mind and always something that I kind of thought of. Well, right about 2019, April of 2019, I decided, well, let me see what that's all about. Let me get on the bandwagon of doing these deliveries. So I started with Postmates, right?
Okay.
Not such a great app, but brand new to the platform. Didn't even know any other, didn't know about DoorDash, GrubHub, so I got onto Postmates and I did that for a few months, just taking any order I could get, not realizing you could pick, getting orders for $3 going 15 miles, just not thinking that you could make that decision. Just thinking because this is what I had to do. So I did that for like a few months. And my brother, he said to me, why don't you get on DoorDash? So I'm like, what's DoorDash? So he said, it's the same idea. Got onto DoorDash maybe a few months later and realized that, okay, so I liked it because it showed me the payout, it showed me the miles, it showed me the restaurant, which I think Postmates did too. So I was like, well, this is a lot better. So I had the two for a while.
Wait,
And
DoorDash was showing you that, or this you
DoorDash.
were you using the Para app?
I was not using the Para app because the Para app did not exist, at least not that I
Oh,
know of.
I'm on Team Para.
I know, I noticed, I know, because I've been watching your videos.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched some of your interviews that you have done, which was amazing. But
So
was
DoorDash was showing you more transparency even in
yes,
2019. I just
yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
realize it was that much, though. I thought they were still being a little.
Well, of course they were giving you the mileage, and they were giving you the mileage and the payout. But then, of course, sometimes you would pick up the order and it would be more. It wasn't just complete transparency like Par was or Par is. But so that I appreciated that as opposed to Postmates, which showed you nothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Postmates just came along. I don't think most people realize that Postmates really, I mean, because now that they've been bought out by Uber and there's still a name in some cities and in others, they've already been gobbled up by the Uber name. I don't think that people really realize that Postmates was around in the very beginning of all these companies that were onboarding for
I
food
think,
delivery.
I mean, I don't know if they were first, but I feel like they were on for like quite a few years. So
Yeah, I mean, they were right. They were there in the beginning. They were there when everybody else was in infant stage, and they were doing it. They were just doing it badly, and they never really seemed to fix it. So
They
that's
never
how I
did.
viewed it.
Yeah, they never did. So, but what's funny is with Postmates, I got most of my not all of them, but I got about 3 or 4 tips from them that were like over $40. Like one was 40, one was 50, one was 60. So I don't know. I guess that was a customer, but
Right.
yeah. So yeah.
So the tip, the I don't even remember. I mean, I talk to people all the time about this, but I don't even remember the last conversation I had about Postmates. Postmates was completely elusive, right? Or was it? What did they show you back in the day?
Back in the day. Well,
Like when a ping came through, what were
so
they?
when
What were
I
you
so
seeing?
when I got on board, with Postmates, they would show you the restaurant, and that's it. I can't.
So there was
That's
no
it.
distance, but if you
The-
knew,
no,
like
but
you do, where the restaurant is by name,
exactly.
you
They
kind
would.
of knew what you were doing.
You could expand the map on the phone or
Mhm.
whatever, and you can, kind of see where it was going. And if you knew your area, you know, you could. But no miles, no pay.
Right.
But the restaurant, it's been a second, but I think it's just the restaurant that they showed you. So, you know,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, so
not
another
so great.
non-transparent thing.
Not
So
so
so you
great.
went from Postmates to then DoorDash. You
Yeah.
had good transparency. I
Yes.
know you've worked the other two too, because I've GrubHub and Eats. So
Yep.
when did that timeline come in?
Well, so and with DoorDash, I was also doing the accept any orders because I didn't know any better, you know? And so I was doing Postmates and DoorDash, accepting every order until someone told me you don't have to take that order. You don't have to take that $3 order. You can pick and choose. So Uber, I got onto Uber whenever they bought it out, Postmates. So was it April? I think of this year or something like that. They bought him out. So whenever they bought him out, I stayed on Postmates.
Yeah, I was gonna say a
And
little earlier, but
was
I
it a
would have
little
to look.
earlier? Okay,
I don't know. Close enough, yeah.
something like that. So I basically stayed on Postmates from 2019 until just this last April, until Postmates or until Uber Eats bought him out, and then I went into the Uber Eats app. Basically, just kind of switched everything over.
So
But
even though you knew Uber Eats existed,
well, I had a
you
hard
never you never tried it till Postmates integrated.
well, here's my thing is I had a hard time getting onto their platform for some reason. And I didn't really push too hard. I was busy enough with DoorDash and Postmates, as long as I made sure the location was close. Um, I just kind of there was some kind of a struggle with Uber Eats trying to get on the platform. I don't know if it was because they thought I was going to do rideshare that they wanted me to go to like a green light hub and get the car checked out. And my friend, who I was telling you, who's the one that got me into this, she said, you don't have to do that. So basically, I just it wasn't that big of a deal to me because I was doing okay with DoorDash and Postmates. So Uber Eats is one of those things where
I wonder if you accidentally put in your phone number at any point in the Uber system to be a rideshare driver, or even when you were signing up for Eats, if you accidentally did that, because then then you go down that tunnel, even if it was an accident, and you're never going to get released because now your phone number's in their system.
Well,
And
you're probably
they're
right.
probably thinking, well, no, you onboarded for rideshare, and that's fine. You'll be able to do Eats too, but you got to do the rideshare thing now. They just wanted you to do that, to have that option, even if you thought you wouldn't, in case you ever did.
You're probably right, and I do have I've never done a ride share,
Right.
but I think I can. I think I can. I think I've
Oh, you
got that.
can. You can.
Yeah,
You just in your options there'd be rideshare, Uber Eats, there'd be the pet option,
yeah,
and these are
yeah.
universal. There's other options in certain cities, but universal is the pet option too. So you have those in your app,
I think so. You're
because
probably right.
it's the same driver app.
Right, right. Eventually, after I got on Postmates was bought out by Uber Eats, um, I had to get a hold. I finally got a hold of the right customer service who was able to help me, because everybody else was talking, was basically saying what you were saying, that I was probably on the rideshare and not on the Uber, on the delivery part of it. So finally, I got a hold of the right customer service, and she was able to help me. So, and that was probably since April, I think. So,
Because you did have to re-onboard with Uber even when Postmates merged.
yes,
They didn't just
yes.
pull over your data set and
No,
say, you're
no,
still
nope.
okay, you're a Postmate / Uber, but we're
I,
good.
I still had to go through the background
Right.
check and, sign up with, checking accounts and all that. So yeah, I had to go through it like I was coming from a brand new place, not just from the Uber Eats platform. I mean, Postmates platform. And then GrubHub, I just got on like a couple of weeks ago, maybe even like a
Right.
week
I
or
think
two
I
ago.
saw when you
Yeah,
premiered your first video even.
yeah, yeah. So, and that one, um I went. It took me years to get on that platform.
See,
Like I just,
so many people tell me this because I sign up for everyone just to try them to know what's up. And there's been some that I've worked a lot more than others, but um so everybody told me that about GrubHub. I
yeah,
swear I finally was like, you know what? I've already tried the deliveries, but I want to try GrubHub because I liked the fact that in other cities they were using an onboarding process that I believe they should all use, which is don't onboard everybody at once. A wait list is okay.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it sucks
yeah.
to say that, but it is. I
Well,
mean, because that
no.
means that there's going to be more work for the people on the platform.
Well, and
So go
here's my
ahead.
thing too is, um, I don't want the biggest thing with these. One of the biggest things is oversaturation.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know, like, so I did appreciate GrubHub. I didn't. It wasn't a. It was. You kept hearing these stories. My dad and my sister also do rideshare. I mean, deliveries, and they said that GrubHub is by far the best payouts. So, so when I signed up, I was on the wait list for 2 years. I mean, since 2019,
So
waiting and waiting, waiting. Probably because, like you said, they have an onboard process. So,
well, so check this out. So this is like a week ago. So a friend of mine who does all these like, have you ever even tried GrubHub? And I'm like, or I'm like, no, I'm like, it's just one of the ones I didn't try. And they're like, oh, you're just waiting to be on board. I said, no, I just never signed up for it. I just didn't care. I tried the others. I knew DoorDash from doing the
yeah,
Paris stuff, and I did my dives in there when we were doing beta testing. So I really got to see the innards of DoorDash and just didn't like the process. And I was like, I was kind of done with it by then. And they're like, well, you should at least try. And I'm like, okay. They're like, because you're not going to get on for like a year or two. I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
okay.
oh yeah.
So last Thursday night, I downloaded the GrubHub app. I applied for the platform, and the next day I was approved and ready to drive.
Oh, you're kidding.
Like
Wow.
18 hours until I was approved to drive for GrubHub.
How in
And
the world?
it's not just you. Every single person I know has told me there's a waiting time.
It took you 18 hours. It
18
took me
hours.
2 years.
In
Two
fact, the
years.
same night I onboarded Dispatch. I onboarded I don't want to ever do groceries, but I'm doing a piece on Instacart, and I've really
Okay.
loved the company Dumpling. In fact, I know the
Okay.
CEO, and we just did a big premiere on Dumpling and why you should be on their platform. But I don't want to do groceries myself, but after all the stories that my listeners have told me about the Instacart platform, I want to know firsthand why it's so bad a payment.
Well,
So I onboarded that one too. So I onboarded all three Thursday night, and all three had me check her background checked.
wow. Wow.
And it just reminded me of like, dude, I cannot believe that we onboard people. Like, this is why we have rapists and like all these crazy, because I can tell you're not running a true background check.
No,
There's no way.
no, no. And
And
absolutely not. And I think,
when I had a grant from the uh from what is it, gig guy Grant from London.
oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I had him on. We were just talking about the differences of our countries, and I've had other people on from London before too, but
That's awesome.
he's done some like test market surveys like with Dara. He had to leave one because he wouldn't.
Dara?
Dara, the CEO of Uber.
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
like
That's
he was
right.
on like a 25 person test group with
Wow.
Dara in a room. Like, so he's had a lot of crazy experience and stuff. And he left because they were talking about the worker platform classification and all this. But I actually didn't mind the fact that in London, you can work all these apps. I mean, they don't have Lyft, they have, Bolt, they have Ola, and they have Uber. Those are the 3 ride shares. And then they have like Deliveroo, Uber Eats,
Deliveroo.
um, yeah, what's, I can't remember the other. There's another couple ones over there too, but they have those. And to work for any of them, you have to go through a process with London's TfL, the same thing that, not the same program, but the same place that issues drivers or cab licenses. Or limo licenses. You basically have to be licensed as a for-hire driver. Where here in the United States, we'll let you be a driver just by putting in your info.
Oh yeah.
And 10 hours later, you say you want to do rideshare with Uber, you're approved, and then they can't provide you any training. Yeah. So, because if they do, they start messing with the employee model and the independent contractorship. And so they can't even do that. So that's why there's a lot of videos. That's why a lot of us here watch these videos or whatever on how to do things. But over there, you have to take this. You have to pay for it. You have to take a MAPS test. You have to do 3 background tests. One of them is like a deep dive test that takes like a month. All these things before you can. As it
should be. But
it's done. Here's how they get around the regular, or how they get around with the companies. Because when I was asked, well, why, that's, then you're training them. And I said, no, because Uber, none of these companies are allowed to be involved in the training. In fact, the TfL doesn't like these companies. So they're always under suspicion of the TfL anyway. And it's the TfL training you to do rideshare. Here's what we need you to know.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is when you're done, you actually get a lanyard badge that has your name, picture, and it has a RF in it. So when somebody gets close to the car, they can say, oh, black, whatever car it is. Yep, that's it. But then it also pings you back and says, yes, that's your car, because the RF reader here tells them. And if the driver gets pulled over without a current license on their not just in their car, around their neck, it's a 500-pound fine per time, which is $650.
Wow.
I mean, like, so to me, it's like they barely have any incidents of rape, beatings, robberies. That just doesn't happen there, where those crimes do happen in London as much as they happen here, though.
Of course.
But they're not happening to the rideshare drivers like they do.
I mean, delivery. Just this woke up this morning, I already heard about a couple of things that some DoorDashers have done. I think I heard a delivery driver, I think it was DoorDash here, not here, but like somewhere in the States, United States, delivering to college students and keeping a record of their addresses, and then going back and breaking in, and did that to a couple of homes. So like you said, when the background check here only takes 10 hours, how legitimate is that? It's kind of scary if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you just reminded me of something that happened like 4 or 5 years ago in rideshare. There was a whole, and it happened over one holiday season, there was a whole spew of people leave it, calling for an early morning Uber to the airport, a whole family, all their bags, loading them up, and then that house getting robbed while they're gone. So, I mean, it was like, and is it the Uber driver? I don't know, but he might know people who, all he has to do is say, hey, this address, go.
Obviously he knows they're not going to be, they're out of town.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what a horrible thing, like, till when it happened, it's one of those things I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
I didn't even think, wow, that's right. Like, if you're standing outside of your door with all your bags.
Yeah.
And this guy takes you to the airport and he's like, where are you going? And you're like, Mexico for a week. He's like, sweet. I know all the details now.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very weird. And I don't know. I remember when that happened, and I kind of thought that kind of stuff was over. But it's, I guess I have been shocked that we don't have as many people on the road right now, and there's more violence than ever. I guess I'm not shocked because everybody's kind of just in a crazy mode right now. But I am surprised so many people are getting attacked, and it's just been crazy. I know you drive in Henderson, which
And
is
it's both ends too. It's not just
right.
the
Oh, I know.
it's the drivers that are also getting,
Oh, we have some horribles on uberlyftdrivers.com, my website. We have some horrible stories about drivers over the years.
yeah.
There was a woman in Arizona, for example. This is one of the most terrifying things I had ever, or one of the most gnarliest things I had ever
Mm,
heard to anybody was this woman in Arizona picked up a guy and was taking him to a long-term parking lot at the Sky Harbor Airport,
okay.
and she was in her third trimester. She was 7 months pregnant,
Hmm.
and the guy was like being fine, whatever, through the ride. But then when they got to the lot and she's like, "Where's your car?" or whatever, he didn't. He just kind of was like, "Oh, just pull over," or whatever, and she did, and he stabbed her like
Oh
17
my
times in the
God.
stomach and in
Oh,
the face, and like
oh,
and left her just barely hanging
ay,
on
ay,
for
ay.
life. But by the
Oh,
by the time the police got there, she was like long dead.
oh, she did
And
die.
oh, she died. I
Oh,
mean, he
oh,
killed, the whole thing was just
oh,
gnarly.
awful.
But then she had her Lyft app on.
Hmm.
She was a Lyft driver. She had the Lyft app still going, and the guy didn't turn it off. I don't, obviously I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was mounted on her dash at the time or if it was maybe in
Right.
the passenger seat. Some people do different things,
Hmm.
but he didn't see it for whatever reason or whatever. So the police were like, "We need to find this phone associated with this person." And they found out that she was on the Lyft platform. And I remember it was the first time that we ever saw the police get very heavy handed, because Lyft used to be, and Uber too, very protective of the data and say, "Well, until we have the warrant, we can't." Blah. They were very like, "I don't care. Give me the information." Right. I mean, they kind of laid it out like, "We're sick of your dumb excuses." And obviously they had dealt with it before. They're like, "We have a chance to catch this guy enough."
Oh my God.
And so
Oh,
they ended up not giving it to him, but they did track it for him. And they're like, "He's on, Interstate 10 heading out of Phoenix towards California." And they
oh
just
my
literally
God.
drove up to him, pulled him over, and they were like, "Get out of the car. Did you do this?" He's like, "Yep."
Oh, what an evil person.
I mean, the guy was like 19 years old too.
Oh, he's a
You
kid. Oh,
yeah,
he,
you and I have kids that are 4 years old younger than
yeah.
that.
Unbelievable. Why I have a 19-year-old son also.
Okay.
Obviously, he wouldn't do anything like that. But
Right. I mean, it just, wow. I
oh
mean,
my God.
and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
You
But
know, you hear stories like that. Um, and I heard and not to go down this rabbit hole because I don't want this to be negative, but I've heard other stories too. This like mother, she was uh delivering to apartment, and these two 15-year-old kids, I think they were 15, killed her, stabbed and killed her. So and she was just delivering food. So it's, you take a risk doing this. And actually one of my coworkers was asking me, she was like, well, how safe do you feel doing these deliveries? And for the most part, because I know my area, and I don't pick places that are not safe, but I have in the past. Um, but I said for the most part, you do feel safe, but you never know. I guess it's like anything, but sometimes I feel like we can be targets too. So I don't know.
yeah.
It's a little
Well, I
scary.
mean, keep mace on you.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if you do. You
I
should.
don't. I need to.
You
I
should.
need
They
to.
make
It's
pocket mace. It's
oh
pretty,
yeah, keychains.
yeah, or even it kind of clips to your pocket so that
Right.
on your pants so you can get it out real quick. And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
because I mean, like, especially with delivery, you'd probably hear somebody coming up, I would think, you know what I mean?
Yes, that's true.
I mean, unless they're
That's true.
totally sneaking up on you, or I don't know, but
Yeah.
even then, so
I've never had an issue where I didn't feel safe, except one time, and it wasn't I didn't feel safe, me personally, but the contacts I was dropping off, um, there just seemed like there was like stuff that was going on that I didn't feel comfortable. So I just called with the customer and I asked them to come get their food, and they did. So, but yeah, no, I need a mace. I need a mace up, definitely.
um, so how many? I never even. So first of all, I never even said you're in Henderson, Nevada.
Yes.
So you're just not far out of Vegas. I know
Yeah.
it well. Uh, are you? So how often are you working the platforms?
So I started off in 2019 doing it part-time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a preschool teacher. Kind of did it weekends, nights, what have you. Then the pandemic hit, right? We shut the school down. The school got shut down. So I did delivery driving full time. So I did that. So we closed down March of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit of Zoom teaching like this until June of 2020. June of 2020, and then pretty much did full time delivery with GrubHub, not GrubHub, with DoorDash, Postmates, and I think or UberEats, from probably until September, just the September, just doing full time, just you know, getting out there, pretty much working between 5 to 7 days a week. Now I'm doing I just go back to doing it part-time. So I got back to working at the school I was at before. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
back at that school. And I used to do a little bit more, but basically the days that I work are Saturdays and Sundays because my son goes to his dad's on that day, both my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of gives me that flexibility where it's like, I'm on from Saturday until say sometime in the morning, I just pretty much work until about 8 or 9 at night, depends, and then maybe Sunday too. So and then I'll kind of pick up a couple of deliveries here and there throughout the week,
Right.
just kind of see how that goes and pick up orders to there, and so but
So you don't leave, you don't ever, and maybe it's because you're teaching too, but you don't ever leave your kids. I mean, I'm just asking because I know one of them's 15. I leave my son home alone sometimes to.
oh yeah, he's the 50-year-old's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a 9-year-old son that has autism. So
Okay.
he pretty profound autism where he isn't able to, his brother can kind of keep an eye on him a little bit, but he's not, it's hard for him to be alone for such a long time. So
Okay.
so no, but because of him, I can't work. Like ideally, what I would like to do is finish working at the school at like, say 2, and then work from 4 to 8 doing deliveries. But, I'm kind of limited with my time,
No, I get
especially
it. I
because,
get it.
yeah. So, and sometimes he'll go with me, my son with autism. Sometimes he doesn't want to. So that's
Right.
fine. Lately, he hasn't been wanting to. But yeah, so my 15-year-old's fine. My 15-year-old, he stays home. He's in his room right now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he stays home and he's totally fine. But my 19-year-old with autism definitely needs more supervision. So
That's really crazy. I know there's so many different levels of autism because
yes.
I had a person who on a podcast who had autism,
Oh,
and he actually was getting PUA in the beginning of the pandemic. He was a rideshare
okay.
driver,
Hmm. Oh wow.
and he actually his mom can't take care of herself, so they live in an apartment in Arvada here in Denver,
Hmm.
and he was having to take care of her, and
And he's
so
on the spectrum.
yeah,
Wow.
and so he got his 1099K from Uber,
Mhm.
and he put in the total line item without removing the service. I don't know if you've ever had to do the taxes from Uber. If
Not
you've ever
yet.
had to,
No,
okay,
no.
because you will. And
Oh yeah.
so the way it comes through is like if you've gotten 1099Ks in the past, you know that 1099K bottom line is just what you enter. That's your number. With
Hmm.
Ubers, it comes and then you have to remove the service fees out.
Hmm.
So you don't actually
Okay.
enter the when it says on your taxes, enter line item 12A from your 1099K or whatever it is.
Right.
But that line item number is what he put, but you have to, it's wrong. You actually have to do math before you put that in,
Okay.
because that shows what you made plus what Uber took.
Okay.
So by putting in that, you're showing you made a ton of money.
Okay.
So what he did is he put in that, and for the
Mm.
PUA, he got his whatever it was, 300 or 600 or five, whatever, a week. 300 a week or whatever. But then you had to have some state coming too. And most of the people I knew who were in the gig world got what's the minimum in this state, no matter how you worked and earned if you were full-time gig, because they didn't know how to deal with it. So you got $212. Because of the number he put, he got like 590 from the state. And then his 300 a week for the PUA.
Wow.
And they actually did a clawback and said that he owed them $14,000 or $15,000.
Oh, that's awful.
And his story was run here in Colorado, and then it was run for about 5 days around the nation. I mean, like, it's probably in your Henderson, even local paper from the date. I think it was October of 2020.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. I haven't heard about that, but I'll have to look that one up.
It's crazy. So I had him on the podcast, and in the article, in the article that he did a bunch. I mean, literally within 4 days, he had been on, all of the major networks, like nationwide. And his piece with USA Today said, it referred to him as, he is a rideshare driver who is a functioning autistic.
Wow.
And so
was that necessary?
Well, when I had him on, it was really funny because we were live too. And I was like, so Adam, this is a crazy story. And we were already kind of into the story a little bit. And I'm like, by the way, I just got to ask, like the USA article, they referred to you as, and I was like, do I say this now? I have to. I'm like, oh crap. And he goes, a functioning autistic. And I was like, yes. Yeah. And I'm like, is that correct? He's like, yes, I am a functioning autistic.
Yeah.
I was like, I actually thought it was a great answer. I loved it. I thought, this is awesome, dude. Like,
that's why they call it a spectrum.
Right. But yeah, I mean, he was just an amazing guy. He was so laser focused during the conversation, but what they did to him was just so wrong. But yeah, I bring that up because I really forget how many different, if you haven't been around autistic people, you don't really know, you forget all the different levels there can be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Oh yeah.
No, but I'm just telling the listeners, like, just in case you're kind of forgetting, autism isn't just a black or white thing. There are some real degrees of it in different.
It's such a spectrum. When they say, autism, ASD, autism spectrum disorder, you really, in some of these cases are indistinguishable. You might not know that they were diagnosed with it. And then there's, of course, the other end of the spectrum where you can see that they are. So
I've actually had videos in my YouTube feed come up saying, "Are you autistic? Take this challenge or take this test." I'm like, I don't know. Like, am I? I don't know.
I feel like all of us have a tendency with some autistic behavior. I feel like.
Right. I feel like those are. I mean, that's kind of the example of clickbait. Like,
yeah.
Because I feel like you're gonna. I haven't done it, but I feel like if I did watch it, it's gonna determine I do.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, I'm gonna walk away from that video going, "Oh my god, I have autism," it's like, so you can explain everything in your life to yourself. Like, that makes sense. That's why I would do.
When you hear about something that you think I have, whatever the symptoms are, you're gonna follow it. And you're gonna be like, "Wait, I think I do have that." It's
right.
Just, so.
I just think it's funny that other people like put it like that, because if you can convince everybody that they're autistic, it's just kind of comical.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, I think a lot of those videos probably do work, because on some level we probably all do fall on the spectrum.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's the autism itself is nothing to laugh at, but also some autistic people are some of the like Asperger's and stuff. Like, some of those guys are some of the geniuses of the land.
It's definitely not the route I thought I would take as a parent, becoming a parent. 19 years. His birthday was just on Thursday, so literally 19 years ago. But they're your kid. You accept them and you grow with them, and you fight. You're their advocate. You fight their battles with them. You're a lot of people that are on the spectrum, shouldn't say a lot, but some of them don't have speech. they were never able to use speech. So, how do you communicate with them? If you can't talk to them, you go through sign language. You do what's called PECS, which is picture exchange communication, where you using laptops or iPads, things that you don't think about when you have a baby. You don't think that, like, okay, well, how am I going to communicate with them when they get older? You think, I'll just talk to them. Well, luckily, my son does talk, so I'm, thank God for that. But his way of communicating,
is that a very small percentage that have?
I couldn't tell you the percentage, to be honest with you, full disclosure, but there are quite a few that have just, and again, I say quite a few, but maybe quite a few isn't even the correct term, but there are some.
Well, no, I think that you're the right person to say
Yeah.
that, if it is quite a few, because I mean, this through schooling and everything else, I'm imagining you
learn as you go.
You've met a lot of others
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's another, I look at these things that I do, like YouTube and DoorDash, and as communities, and autism is just another community that I'm on. I like I said, when he's born, you don't think of stuff like that, but
right.
The main thing you have to do is accept, like, it's not going to change. You can't wish it away. You can't change your kid. You can't switch him out. You have to accept it. So that's like what I did. No, was it easy? No. Did I go through my struggles? Yep.
And it
definitely.
that was your first kid?
He's my first. Yeah.
So yeah, that probably made it even more.
Yeah. Well, so then by the time my second one came, about 3.5 years later, I was already, I should say I was an expert, but because he was diagnosed when I was 9 months pregnant with my second kid. So by the time I had him, which was like, I think like a few weeks later, it was, I knew this, I didn't know every step, but I was on the right track to know what to look for, and almost immediately I could tell, I think he's going to be okay. And in hindsight, when I had my first son, it was like, oh yeah, he didn't do that. Like, he didn't really make such great eye contact, and oh yeah, he didn't put his arms up to be picked up. But when you don't know that, you don't know that. So anyways, it's definitely something that I learned as I go, and appreciate being on that community. 100%. I'm almost 20 years.
I have to, I'm not even a guess. I'm going to know this, that I'm sure that, well, I'm sure that that's the biggest community you're in.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, outside of
absolutely
just family and
absolutely
the obvious, but I mean,
oh yeah. Oh yeah, because
that's your kid. That's probably the most important thing you do.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's
like, that's not a part of your life. That is your life.
It's my life. It's it's my everyday, and I don't hide it. I mean, you want to know about me, you're going to know about my son. I'm you have to be. It's so important for them. You have to advocate for them, and he's, I mean, my other son too, but they're my world. So yeah,
my son's my world.
He's my 19-year-old baby.
Right. Yeah, I mean, kudos to you. That's just,
thank you.
That's just awesome parenting right
thank
there.
You.
So you're okay. I need to jump back. So your first video was called Dear Uber Eats, or I think it was called this, or else I wrote this down because I thought it was funny that you said it. I can't remember which one. But Dear Uber Eats, stop sending me really bad orders.
Yeah, that was my.
Just kidding.
No, they got worse. They didn't listen to me.
No, but I thought that was funny. That was, here's your first video, and then so I'm going through your videos, and but I started doing the analytical part of me, like, the part from just coding and para and learning about some of these algorithms, was starting to look at the numbers. And I saw your one video that went, where was it? Right here. It went to 494 views, which kind of stepped outside of the range you were in.
Yeah, I don't
So
know why that did
I
so
looked
well.
at it. I looked at it, and it's the only one that includes the word tips.
So
So
because
that's
that's my
funny
question too. Is why
because you
did that
put
one do?
tips in there, that keyword came up and more
Yeah.
people viewed it.
And here's my thing I wanted to say about that because I thought about that too, and I thought I don't want it to be clickbait. I try
No,
not
it
to get it to
wasn't
be
though. But
clickbait. But I
I'm just
thought,
shocked that, like how far it stepped out just by adding that
but
word.
here's my thing is I wonder if and I don't know if okay, I wonder if because I put like something like amazing tips, whatever it was, and I wonder if people thought I'm giving them tips, right? On
Oh
like,
no, I
I'm not.
instantly knew.
You did.
I
That's good.
instantly knew you were talking
Okay.
about good tips.
Okay, good. Good. Because that was like occurred to me. Like, well, maybe they
No,
were thinking, okay.
but I think that if people had thought that, they wouldn't have clicked it as much.
Well,
I think they
because it
wanted it because it was
I
tips.
hope
They want to
so.
see cash. No, they want to
Yeah.
see cash money
Yeah.
tips.
Yeah.
But it's funny that if you add that, like this is just that part of me that sees these little things. And like, if you add the word tips in there, like,
Yeah. Well,
it's just, it's crazy.
I and I again, I don't because
I
I
know your
have
video
noticed.
was about that. So it's not clickbait. You have no
Yeah.
like crazy, click here to earn $1 million, or
No, no.
you're not doing anything stupid. You're just,
No,
you
no,
just put tips in it. And
no. And I did. I got decent tips. That was a good night. That was a really
yeah,
good night.
yeah. But I
So
mean, it's like,
um,
that's what people flock to. They want to see that. Almost even some people maybe that never get good tips want to see that before they work or during a shift because they just need some inspiration
well, and I'm
of,
gonna be,
dude, why can't I get it? It's
yeah.
and to
And that's
everybody
the thing
I
too,
tell them,
is
make sure that you master the platform. Don't
yeah.
just, because maybe you don't like the platform, switch to I tell everybody there's
Mhm.
700 apps out there. There's
Right.
100
Right.
apps you can work where you can get onboarded in like 2 days. Sign up
Right.
for all of them. I mean, if you're not going for the bonuses, sign up for all of them and try them all out. You might find that you're a grocery shopper or a rideshare person,
Right.
or
Right. Food.
that you like, doing Rover like Hannibal does.
Oh, the dog one. Yeah. And also
Yeah. Or
Brandy too. I don't know if you've ever seen Brandy. She's super cute. I think she's out in Texas. She's a content creator too. She does Rover also.
okay.
Rover would not be an option for me.
Yeah,
My
see,
yeah.
same here. I don't know why with you necessarily, but here
Mhm.
everybody has a dog, but Rover
Oh,
is like very populated already, like, and has been for
okay.
years. Like,
Okay.
if I went on there to sign up as a walker,
Mhm.
every house has at least every other house has 1 to 3 dogs in Colorado.
So cute. So
So, but
cute.
everybody needs a walker, but there are
Sure.
that many people working that app. Whereas in other
Okay.
cities, people are like, "What, Rover? Nobody works that."
I don't. And
Like,
honestly, I don't even know if it's an option out here in Las Vegas or Nevada. I guess. I mean,
I would almost bet for sure in Henderson it is. I mean, I don't know where
mhm,
they're not.
probably.
You know what I
Don't.
mean? Like, I don't think they're not anywhere.
Yeah, I would imagine they would be. My son's has a fear of dogs, so for me, that's the reason why I wouldn't be able to go on that platform.
I'm
Um,
just gonna see real quick. I want to see if they're in. I don't think they're
yeah,
not anywhere, but I gotta check. Um,
just who would have thought like you could make money walking someone's, or not just walking their dogs, but like dog sitting too. I'm not sure Hannibal. I haven't really watched too much of his Rover content. Um, I don't know. Does he walk the dogs? I know with Brandy, she babysits the dogs. Like they go to her.
he does both.
He does both.
So Hannibal's kind of lucky. He lives in, like, why I think it works really well for him is he lives in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. That's
And
right.
there's a lot of like high rises and things like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And for whatever reason, when I've talked to him, I'm like, but if people are in high rises, then they don't have dogs. He's like, you would be shocked. He's like, every person in the, even if the elevator's broke, that just has a stairwell, they all have dogs.
They all
He's
have
like, it's
dogs.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
And
he's
you have a
lucky.
dog too, right? I
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
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 Cute.
So, but he actually luckily somehow has a backyard out of his place. In like like, I don't know if you know Brooklyn well, but like the way we were talking about it is his backyard is about the size of most of the parks that you can find walking around.
Oh
They're,
wow.
in Brooklyn, a park is
Oh
like the size of a bedroom, and they're like,
oh
here's a
yeah. Oh
park.
yeah. Oh okay.
He has a backyard about that big, so luckily through the day he's able to let them in and out of this backyard that's
How does he
fenced,
get
and
that?
so
That's
he's got
amazing.
dogs that he watches, and then he's even got people who call him last minute, hey Hannibal, can I leave him tonight overnight, like I'm going to take a double or whatever.
Hmm.
So he's like kind of on call too, but he does have people who schedule it or whatever. And I was
Yeah.
like, so do you
Yeah.
ever do the staying at their house, or what do you, and he's like, no,
Mm.
everything just stays here. And
Okay. So yeah. Yeah. They yeah,
I
I mean, it's just another way to make money, another way to, and if you're an animal lover, and I am, that why not? That's
yeah,
my theory.
there's a bunch in Henderson.
Okay, there we go. So now I know.
Yeah, there's a wow, and they're expensive. Oh, there's some 15s, but there's one person, Alana, who's a
A lot.
verified, I'll have to ask Hannibal what this is, a verified background check
Okay.
sitter
Okay.
walker, and she charges $35 per dog walk.
Per dog walk. Wow. Wow. And I wonder if that's a time limit too.
Well,
Do they
most
get
of them
that?
are, but it's a good, I mean, usually it's a good 15-20 minutes.
I mean, can you imagine? And that's one dog. I mean, technically you can, I mean, I guess depending on
I think a
the
lot of these people, I mean, maybe
size of the
for like
dog, but you could walk a couple of dogs at a time.
unless you're just, I don't know, if I personally, I've never worked it, but if I was just getting on it and I didn't have advice, luckily I'd have Hannibal to ask first.
Yeah.
However, if I didn't, I would
Oh,
start, and
yeah.
I would actually just drive to the house, do the walk from there, unless two were
Yeah.
close enough,
Right.
because Denver's really spread out, so it's probably, I would guess most of my clients would not live near each other, and I wouldn't go
Probably
corralling
not.
dogs
Yeah.
to walk them in one place. I would just do a lot of walks.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know, at that rate I would. That's pretty good.
Yeah. However it works for right.
I haven't even checked Rover in a while. Now I got it still pulled up. I'm gonna have to look at it later. But yeah, so I mean, so now you're back to teaching. You still like delivery. It provides great extra income. You obviously are independent contractor and want to remain so, or else,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, because the other models wouldn't work. You've got a content channel going, and what's next? I mean, are you gonna, I mean, because like your content, even when you did the GrubHub one, you're starting to, I don't know if you've ever watched Gig Guy Grant. Have you ever watched him? That's the guy I was talking about from London.
Yeah. I think
he's worth checking out. He probably doesn't come up in your feed because he's a worker over in the UK.
Okay.
But he delivers on a moped with
a
GoPro through London. So it's
how fun is that?
So it's like watching London though while he's doing this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's in like 4K high def.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fish-eyed. It's awesome.
Okay. A gig guy Grant.
Yeah.
Okay. I could be wrong. I think he's might have subscribed, either commented on one of my videos, and maybe one, or maybe
he's got a pretty good YouTube presence.
Oh, good.
So
good.
I mean, but I mean, my point with him is that when I had him on, it was a lot of like just the differences between our places, but also I was telling him how much I liked watching his videos, because I'm not always the guy who likes to watch the ride-alongs or because I've been there, done that so many times that I'll watch them a couple times, or I'll check out here and there just to see if somebody's doing something unique. But I don't do a lot of them. But I do like his because I feel like I'm getting a tour of London a little bit.
I'm
and the true tour, not like a way a vlog person would do it or something. Like, this is beautiful London. Like, you'll hear him swear. You'll hear him like, like, well, it's, so it's like you're getting this tour with like a real person. It's pretty cool. But I feel like your last GrubHub video kind of felt that way a little bit too. I don't know what you were doing. It didn't seem like manipulative editing or anything, but it was just cool. I don't know why.
Okay.
Thank you. And I know it's just Henderson. I know you're not showing me the Louvre, or you're just not driving around Paris, but it just something about it struck me as, Well, this is just cool. The lighting, the way that you're rolling through town, and I don't know what it. I'll have to go back and see what it was because something just seemed cleaner than a lot of people's.
Ah, thank
I don't know. A
you.
lot of people's are bouncy. They get out with the camera. A lot of.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
I I mean, I look at some of these other content creators and their videos, and they're like, I don't say never, but some of them are at such a high level that I don't think I'll ever be able to reach something like that. And I never claim to be something I'm not.
Right.
I literally just started doing this because, and a lot of people are like you, that they don't really care for the ride-alongs. I love doing ride-alongs. I mean,
No, not that I
I
don't care
do.
for them.
Well,
I've
no,
been
no,
there,
that's what
done that
I
myself so many
I know.
times that.
But for me, that's
But
like,
hey, I'm watching yours.
well, that's good. Yay.
And I watch Grants. I just
Yeah.
can't get into a lot of them that I know come out a ton from people.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like how I told Hannibal, like people gravitate towards the content creators they like, because really in the end, that's what it's about. It's not about like this video from this one person is the one you should watch. It's
No.
like if everybody released a video on the same topic on the same day, you'd find out
Boring.
who has who likes to really watch who. And it's not a diss, but
True. True.
because
Yeah.
people would, their first instinct, if all the videos were titled the same, their first instinct
Mhm.
would go to be to the person that they like to listen to the
That's
most.
true. That is very true. That is true.
So a lot of times it's the voice too. So I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's to me it's maybe better that you're not trying to get to a level where you're like master
No.
advisor and like
No.
you're like the person who understands it, but you're taking us through the grind.
Listen, and I really appreciate that. I really do. And that's
It
exactly what my whole point of that, what, like, why I kind of started this was, again, I'm not trying to be something I'm not trying to reach this, top whatever and millions of subscribers. No, it's, who would have thought, honestly, who would have thought people were making videos on doing delivery driving, and
right.
for me, it was, why did I kind of start it? Well, just basically just, I don't even know, to tell you the truth. It was like I started watching, started with one guy, added another, and kind of went through the whole list. And I thought, I enjoy, doing these deliveries and telling people about my town and how's this order getting, what's going to happen here. And, and like Rory says, it's not hard, it's not hard, but sometimes interesting stuff happens. Well, I want to share that with people, and the ones that come and they watch and they comment, I'm so grateful and I so appreciate, and
Yeah.
so
No, I mean, and there are a lot of, there are a lot of people who like, have you ever thought about, or have you ever, I don't think I saw one where you've ever done a live
no.
stream.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't?
Not yet. I'll
Well,
do
no, I'm
like,
just asking. I mean,
yeah,
like, I know that a lot of people who do the ride-alongs do enjoy doing
the live
the
streams.
live streams too, because
Yeah, I
you're able
could.
to in real time and give people feedback. Those are different. Those I like.
You mean as I'm doing my
like
ride along?
what?
Like, do the live stream as I'm doing my ride along, or like in my
Yeah,
home?
yeah. I don't
Oh,
know if you've
oh.
ever like. I don't know. Have you ever watched Mr. Flex?
I've heard of him. I haven't watched him, but
So
I
he
know.
does 12-hour days of DoorDash live. He hasn't in about 3 weeks anymore because he's been dealing with some car stuff, but he's about to come back.
Oh,
He's a good friend of mine too. And
oh, that's good. Oh,
so
sweet.
he's in New Jersey, and he gets up and he does 4 hours of paycheck delivery, and then he does a 12-hour shift of DoorDash and
Wow.
live streams the whole 12 hours. And people, it's funny because he's doing the deliveries, he's playing lo-fi music in the back.
Okay.
So he doesn't have the camera on him when he gets out to take the delivery like a lot of people do.
Mhm.
The camera's just on in the car, and there's
Okay.
lo-fi tunes going. So like if you're driving, you can have Mr. Flex on with you. And then if you have any questions at all, you can type them in his live stream and ask him. And honestly, he answers them. He only does DoorDash though,
Okay.
but he answers them in like 2 seconds and with every detail that I would ever want. I've been amazed. Like he knows more than not level just 1 or 2, but more than tier 3 DoorDash support. It's amazing.
Wow.
You could spend 10 hours trying to get the answers you can get from Flex in 1 minute.
You're kidding.
No, I mean,
Wow.
and even any question about something like, hey, this happened to me. He's like, oh, what you do is you do this, this, this. And if they
Unbelievable.
say this, tell them no, and this is why, and then you need to be transferred. And he has very, very specific answers. And I think that's a really cool thing. And I mean, for you, maybe, it's a different thing. Maybe if you did a live stream, first of all, I like them because I think that it helps with some safety issues. Because one thing I like about the live streams is actually observing people unedited from their clip.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
like,
true.
hey, dude, you know what? I don't do, hey, how are you getting all those orders? Like a lot of the questions are this or that. I ask weird questions like, hey man, I saw when you got out, you didn't even look. You were in a crowded road. You just opened your door,
Yeah.
and like odd comments where they're like, Steve, I'm like, what, dude? Like, you should be like this and look first. Don't just swing the door open.
I mean, and that's the thing.
Or
If
like
you're
I've seen videos where like a sketchy person goes by and walks by slow, and they're like, that was weird, and then they get out anyway and have their back. I'm like, dude, if it's weird, wait till he's gone.
wait till he's gone.
I mean, like, I'm noticing the odd things about the streams, and that's where I do have a little fun, because I think that people get a little too comfortable. And I watch some of those and I'm like, this is, and I don't think, see, this is why people get hurt, but I start to understand more. This is why people get attacked. This is why people get robbed.
Yeah.
This is why people do get hurt.
Yeah.
I honestly, even doing rideshare, even doing the number of rides I've done, I've had some incidents, but like I also bartended for 20 years. So I know how to bounce somebody out of a bar. I know how to do all those jobs, but also I think that, it's a lot of how you present yourself too. Like if you present yourself as vulnerable in delivery or rideshare, I think that like people pick up on that quick. Like if you're like showing a confused moment, they'll take advantage of that in under a second. It's not like they plan it first and go, okay, wait, they notice that, and that's when they do something. So I think like if you're doing night stuff and stuff, I think that a lot of people really need to, and they might hear this and say, whatever, Steve, you don't know, but honestly, I think that a lot more people need to be a lot more careful. I think we have a lot of our even our creator team here on YouTube and all the people that do things. I think that what I see isn't that careful sometimes. I mean, they're doing the job good and stuff, but I'm just talking about their personal safety.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. I just, that's some of the stuff that I care about more about, that stuff, and independent contractorship and fighting for the little guy. And I don't know. I have some other issues that are really bothering me that I've been doing some videos on, and I've been working with the anti-AB5 group, and just really deep diving into that, because I don't want this country to turn into independent contractors. Can't be that definition. So it's important to me, and it's happening, and people don't understand, but I think they're starting to, because even Hannibal's starting to share my videos as, you need to hear this stuff.
Yeah, I saw you on his live stream. That was a couple of weeks ago. That was probably one of his. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I think him and I have had I had him on mine too, and we've had a couple good discussions. But that was a very good one.
Yeah.
I mean, him and I have a really easy back and forth. I like his mannerisms and how he presents things.
I do too.
I think that like me, he doesn't send me over any show notes or anything beforehand.
Oh yeah. Keep, like you say, keep it organic.
Right. And he knows that about me. So he's like, he's just like, yeah, we're not gonna. I'm like, that's fine, man. I prefer that, but it allows you to deep dive a little more, instead of just talking.
It more natural.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, so
I appreciate
things like this. Like, do you use a mileage tracking, an expense reporting app of any kind?
So I was using Stride, and kind of
why not Para? I'm just kidding. This isn't an ad for Para.
No, you're so funny.
We do have that.
I did know that. I did know that Para was.
Well, we're still working on things. We've got a lot of things.
I never got on to the Para. I remember a few months ago when it came out, and Tanner Markley, I'm not sure if you ever watch his channel.
We know Tanner.
You know Tanner. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually just met him.
Okay. Yeah, I saw in your video.
Oh, you saw that video? Okay. You know, he really pushed this power, he really pushed para power. But I wasn't like, I never really got on board with it, not like in a negative way. It was just it was one of those things where and maybe I kind of bought into the, well, maybe if I get onto the para platform, you know, that I could protect it or potentially get deactivated through DoorDash, because I know it's silly, and I kind of,
no, it's not. I mean, you know what?
It's one of those things where it was like, you know, I said
it's not silly at all.
I don't want to risk it. And what I would do is I just wouldn't take the orders. Now, did I possibly miss out on some really awesome orders? I probably did.
But you could, I mean, yeah. And you know, I always told every single person, listen, if they were like, listen, I have security issues, I would explain them. And then if they're like, oh, I'm still, and I'm like, then don't do it, dude. I'm like, yeah. That used to be my thing, is I'm like, listen, if you're at all skeptical, don't do it.
And I didn't know. And then
people would say to me, but people are making 300%. And I want to get on it. I'm like, but you don't, because you're saying that you're skeptical. And if you're skeptical, hold off, dude. Because, you know, go with your gut. Don't, I told everybody, go with your gut. I'm not a sales pitch. I'm just here to answer questions if you have them.
Yeah. I could definitely see why people went on that platform.
I mean, we have new services now. Like, you could go in and hook your GrubHub only up to it. And there's some perks for GrubHub right now.
And I don't know if GrubHub is like, if they also hide tips. That's the thing I need to learn about GrubHub.
Yeah, I would say go in and play around with Para. You can always unplug it. But whatever. I will tell you, we're 100% safe. Your data is so unsafe elsewhere. It's made me sick. I've learned a lot from our coders too. But David, the CEO, I don't know if you know that David was the operations manager for Uber for all of Las Vegas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You for over 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like, in the early days stuff too. So it's pretty crazy. So he has a very logistical understanding of the algorithm manipulations.
Okay.
And so that's why when we fight for people's rights and integrity and transparency, it's because he saw all of the opposites in that corporate world.
And now, I don't know if you heard about the new thing. I think I saw it it might have been on Pedro's channel and Pedro Drive, but Uber Eats has this new thing now where I don't know.
That's one of the things I was going to ask you about was, are you gonna keep working Uber Eats while this is a thing, or
that
and by the way, people, I'm going to clarify this with Ellen now, but I'm also this is what I think we're talking about, is that Uber Eats is doing a thing where they are making you take 5 rides before you can see the already partial transparency. I mean, it's not, here's the thing. They're not even showing you the partial transparency they've been showing you for the 5 rides, and then you get full transparency. They're now showing you nothing for 5 rides. And then get back that sad transparency that they were showing you. So it's not even like you're earning anything great. You're just you have to get back to the minimal stage.
Awful. And I didn't know that. I knew the 5, you have to accept 5 out of 10, and then they'll show you the full transparency, but I didn't know that they weren't going to show you anything, and tell you. That's awful.
So Hannibal asked me, he sent me a message today privately, and he said, hey, what's up with this? What's going on? Why would they, what is going on with this? And I said, well, it's easy. They're right now, you can make a lot doing rideshare, and people don't understand that. People are still saying rideshare is dead. Well, everything is back. Passengers were being charged a lot more. That's come down a little bit.
That's good.
But drivers are staying very busy in many markets. It's not just 1 or 2. I talk to people around the country all the time, and the ones who are back to rideshare are doing very good. People who are doing food delivery, it hasn't died, but it's gone down a little bit. And Uber,
it sure has,
and
especially because with everything
with its problem of right now, pre-pandemic, everybody was doing Uber rideshare. And the people who were doing Uber Eats were complaining like, dude, I don't make any money at all doing this.
Yeah.
Because pre-pandemic food delivery, let's be honest, what hadn't even taken off yet. Nobody was raging food delivery. Wasn't
Oh,
happening.
yeah. Good extra income, but not main income.
But the day the CARES Act went in and we were all locked down at home and all this, there was an instant pandemical pivot to rideshare or to delivery from rideshare drivers because they were able to do it within the app within a minute. Like, fine, I'm not going to take rideshare anymore. I'm going to take, and at first it wasn't even just the scariness. It was that there were no people taking the rides. Everybody had dropped off of ridership.
Right.
But everybody was ordering food. So they went over. So people pivoted over to their new people onboarded. So now Uber does not have the drivers. They're actually in New York. They're looking at a model of taking over the medallion cabs for a year to be able to fill the drivership because they have rides and the cabs don't. It would be a destruction to the cab industry. I don't even want to go there, but but they're right now they don't have the rideshare drivers, and they have 1,000 times too many delivery drivers. So what they're doing is this to get people to pivot back to rideshare. They're hoping that maybe not you because you wouldn't know, but they're hoping that people who did rideshare prior to the pandemic who now do Uber Eats, or even people who onboarded to Uber Eats only.
So that's what they're doing. Okay.
They want to repopulate the drivers on that side. And so right now they're offering all kinds of rewards and the scam crap that you can 3 in a row and this and that, all their junk, like traps to get involved with more money. And if you know how to work those, it's one thing, but like right now they're doing that, but even the pay is good the per mile and all that isn't, but overall you'll do good right now in almost every market. And they're trying to showcase that as, hey, listen guys, you're dumb for doing delivery. Right. You can make 2 to 3 times as much doing rideshare.
Yeah. Right.
And so I think that if anything, it might even get a little worse on Uber Eats. I think this is a test.
Okay. That's interesting. Is that why they keep sending? That's why that my first video that you mentioned, why you send me such bad orders. Maybe is that the reason? Is I keep getting 150. I got an offer for Uber Eats.
But that was I thought that was GrubHub.
Which one? I got an offer.
For Uber Eats.
For Uber Eats for $1.50. I mean, I've gotten a couple of those. I mean, is that the reason? Maybe you're right. Maybe that's because they're trying to deter people from getting off of the Eats app.
And it's not, here's the thing. It's not even like they have this many drivers. Let's say they have, 10 times the drivers that they do on the rideshare platform doing delivery. It's not even like they really want the delivery, even though that's oversaturated delivery by a lot. Let's say that number. They don't even want half of them to go over to rideshare to rebalance it. In a perfect world, they'd want that many people to onboard to rideshare so that both are oversaturated and nobody's making any money. But there's always people available.
That's but
now what they've had to go to, because the old school pre-pandemic onboarding is not working anymore.
Yeah.
They're not attracting new drivers like they used to be able to.
Yeah.
So what they really need now and what they're really hoping is that how evil are you guys going to make us be before you're going to move over to rideshare?
Yep. Okay.
So I think what you'll start seeing is like now everybody's up in arms about this. And this is what I told Hannibal too. I said, watch, by next week, there's going to be a big perk to move over to rideshare.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just thinking because we're learning more about the platform and we're learning more about, we don't have to fall in their trap and take these really bad offers. I'm thinking they just want to get these customers their food, and they don't care what they pay us and they don't care how they treat us. So that's the incentive, not realizing, and you're probably right, that they're trying to move us over, or at least a big percentage of us over to rideshare, because like you said, it became a dying market or what have you. So
Right. I mean, and
makes
we already know,
sense.
we know that there's algorithm manipulation done
Oh
by these
yeah.
companies. And,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
I always have to clarify it, is it's not mind control. It's because you do have the ability to go,
Yes.
no,
Yep. You sure
no,
do.
but they do have tricks that do work. Even
Yeah.
like they worked on me in the day. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
I'd be going home and I was like, okay, that's it. I had a great day. And then I'd have some perfect kick-ass ride that was like
Right.
really long, but it was going to make me bank. And I'm like,
Right.
I can do this.
Yeah.
But they do it when I was like a mile or two from my house. And they knew I was going home.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just
And you.
that's an easy little trick, but it's like that. I know I have a feeling on those. There were a lot of those times where I was getting a ping for a
Mhm.
great ride, and I guarantee you I was not the closest car, which
You
is
gotta
how
check.
they work.
Okay. I would. I would
So it should
assume.
have gone out to other people, but they said,
Right.
"Hey, Steve's going home."
Right. We don't want him home
So
yet.
right, but I mean, like, so they break their own algorithm, and what they identify to the independent contractor is as the deal. So really, when we talk about TOS sometimes, and you know how you have to follow all these terms of service, and they don't follow them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and there's never
Yeah.
a way to prove it either. Ron and I had a huge discussion about this. That you know, there's just no way. They're global. You know, they're everything's up in the cloud. It's all algorithms and manipulative data and packets and things. Like, to be honest, like I said to Ron, we were doing a piece on taxes,
Mhm.
and I said, can you even imagine the workforce that it would take to audit Uber if it came down to it? I'm like,
Oh, I can't even imagine.
I'm exaggerating here, but I said to Ron, who knows a lot about this tax thing, and so um, I said, you know, I honestly feel like, you know, all jokes aside, that it would be like half of the IRS team would have to
Oh
go.
yeah. Oh, just for that one.
You know, I mean, like,
Absolutely.
and where would they get? Because I mean, the information could be manipulated to all kinds of crazy, like,
Yeah.
what are they asking? Hey, we need your data. Okay, here it is. Is that real? Is that,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's just
Yeah.
no way to tell. It's so crazy, but yeah, I mean, it's a thing. And um
Yeah.
let me see what, we've been here for a minute, so I want to see, I had one last question for you. Oh, okay. So this actually kind of does relate to what we were just talking about. And so this is the last question I do want to know, is that when you onboarded, and I know you onboarded with just one, and now you've worked four and you've kind of got it down.
Mhm.
So you've learned how to do this. And in that time, what your earnings were in the beginning. And I know, I'm sure that when it was just Postmates, or maybe when you moved to DoorDash and had more transparency when they did
Right.
a couple of years
Mhm.
ago, that it was really good for a while. So you have to kind of do it more as an average. But do you think that the skills that you've acquired have made it so that at least you're not just kind of doing okay right now? You're still doing good, even though the pay rate has changed?
Right.
Like, even though, like,
Mhm.
so in comparison to back when you onboarded, are you pretty close in pay?
So from what I started in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go back and look at, like, obviously my numbers, but definitely starting with these platforms, learning as I went. Not
Because that's
realizing.
what I'm kind of getting at, is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
when you come on and you're learning, obviously you make some money and things used to be paid better, so you're doing that, but now you've got it down.
Well,
The earnings are a little less, but you
right.
know how to pick them. Has it evened out? Do you still make about the same amount of money, or even close?
Well, I think I've done better. I think because I wasn't familiar with how to run these apps. I wasn't familiar with knowing you have the option to not accept this stuff. And I was taking orders that were taking me far distance with very little pay. So I just didn't know any better. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you how I learned that you didn't have to. I mean, I talked to a couple of people, but and how I even got onto YouTube and how I learned that you could watch YouTube videos on how to figure this out. But I think I've done better because I've made the best use out of my time. So because I'm limited on my time, I don't have the flexibility to work um, all these hours, evenings, whatever. I make the best of the time that I do have. So my deliveries end up being a lot closer to home, but I cherry pick. I mean, I do. I
Well,
only
who doesn't?
I right. I pick out the orders. So am I making what I was making before? I mean, I kind of always uh said to myself, well, I need to make this amount of money a week.
Okay.
And sometimes I've exceed that, obviously, and sometimes I need to bust my butt and work even more. So
So if you're doing like just Saturday, Sunday, let's say on a week, do you set it
mhm.
as like a par then or an hourly? Like, do you make it like I have to do $300 before I can be done tonight, or I have to do
I
X
think
amount? Do you set
right.
those kind of goals?
I mean, as of right now, like all the money that I'm getting through Uber and all this stuff is a little bit extra, but I mean, sometimes I'm using it for other stuff too. I look at it almost like what my goal is at the end of the week. Like I know I need to make a certain amount at the end of the week. So, and it used to be a set amount, especially when I was doing this full time, where I'd have to, if I wasn't making it, like say by Saturday, say I was off by 100, okay, by Sunday, I need to make $100. Now it's almost at the point where, because there isn't really a set amount I need to technically make, it's not that I say I do it for fun, because I'm definitely using this money for needed stuff, bills, food, what have you. Sometimes it's just having the extra money. But for me, it's what I've made at the end of the week. And then, sorry. And then it's one of those things where if I haven't met it, like that certain amount, I almost kind of go by and like I want to be done at a certain time, and that's kind of how it is. So
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 it's more hours that you'll work, and you just try and make
kinda,
the best of those hours.
kinda,
I mean, everybody
like
has their own way. There's not a wrong
yeah,
way. There's
yeah,
just
yeah. So that's just kind of how I run it. And then basically, like I said, it's just what my amount is going to be at the end of the week. And, I try to
But
meet
but
that.
do you feel like you still hit that, or you've had to
Oh,
modify
yeah.
it?
Well, I definitely don't make, I'm making a lot less when working, now that I'm back to working a full-time job, because I just don't, I can't put the hours in,
Right. But
so makes
but
sense.
for those, yeah, but for those hours, like when you were doing
Right,
full time, if you were doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now you're just doing Saturdays, those Saturday,
right.
Sundays have passed compared to these.
Are they about this? They're about the same, I would say. Yeah.
See, that's good. That's good. That
Yeah.
means because a lot of people don't get that. They drop off because they start saying, now I'm not making as much. And it's like, well,
I,
that does happen to a lot of people. That means you haven't upped your game any.
yeah.
I hate to say it that way, but
No,
to
it's
me, I take that
true.
as you haven't learned anything. You're just taking orders and you really
Yeah.
aren't catching on.
I probably don't run, I mean, like full disclosure, as well as I should. I mean, do I sometimes
Well, there isn't a
deny?
run as good as you should
Well,
because we've already, this is why I like the podcast I do, because we talked
well,
about
me
your
too.
life a little bit. Your
Yeah.
life is different. Everybody's
Yeah.
life is different.
Right.
So you have other constraints and other obligations and other passions, i.e. family, things of
Yep.
that nature that come
Yep.
first in front of everything.
Teaching. Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
there's a what's his name out here in Colorado that is doing the he's like 21 and doing like the Dasher
Oh,
quest right
the
now. I'm drawing a
what's
blank on his name.
I know
Um,
her.
but he's I
It's gonna
always
it'll
laugh.
come to me.
Yeah, I always laugh when I see it because I'm always like, dude, you're so young, man. You're burning yourself out at
Oh,
this young age. Like
some, yeah, his name.
it's
It's like the tip of
Eli
my.
or Etch or
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of
is it
is
Eli?
it Eli? Is it? I'm thinking of someone else. Oh, I'm thinking of more finance. Is he
No,
in
no,
your?
no, no, no.
Is he in your? I thought he was in also called, but he's another one that's like, I guess he's had a couple controversies on a couple of things, which we won't get
No, I've
involved
had
with that.
no. I don't really.
But
Again, I
Eli,
don't get in the drama, but I've had people who just.
oh yeah,
I know a lot of people who don't. I don't know. I don't want to say too much bad,
no,
but
no,
I will
because
say that I've heard. I will
I've
say
heard.
something I've heard is that
Yes,
he's done some giveaways and hasn't lived through on them.
that's the one I was talking about. So
And no, I'm talking about this guy
oh
here out of
Eli,
Colorado. Yeah,
okay, I
he's
haven't. I didn't know he was
Hannibal
from
had him on
Colorado.
right when he was starting this, and he he was just
He's
on
got a
there.
lot of.
he was on there with his Colorado Fort Collins hat. He's like 21. He's like eating a hamburger on
I
the
love it.
show. Yeah, he's just like dripping stuff.
He's
Like
all trip.
he's like we're gonna rage this. This is no stop November. Blah. He's shooting for like 10 grand or something.
Oh my God.
They're all in this.
Okay.
He's got these quest levels going, and he's got them broke apart into like if you do if you use a car, if you use an electric vehicle, or if you're human powered.
Oh, human powered.
Well, bikes, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he even counts like scooters and stuff or something on that one. I can't remember, but
Yeah. Good for him.
so he's got
Good
these
for
different
him.
things going on, and all of the people in there are kind of raging, but I'm waiting to do a video on them on the last day of November and say, so you guys like all beat up and sick and
Right.
stuff.
Are you quitting it for good?
So yeah, I mean, I know that it's just burnout, but I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. I mean, I know that some people are starting to see their markets die off a bit. I know some
Oh, here
people,
too.
I mean, running the podcast and running some of the other things I do and the radio show that I do and all these things, I get a lot of people who email me, and a lot of them lately have just been like saying, kind of mirroring what I've been saying, is that I'm not making it on delivery anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, if you didn't see that coming,
Well,
I
and
mean,
I
some
think
people are starting to return to normal. Depends on your market where that's
know.
at. And if it is more of a return to normal market, you're getting people who are going back out to dinner or willing to
I
pick
know.
it up themselves.
I know. And I think the problem with this too is a lot of people think that this could be full, like lifelong or full-time, or I'm not just full-time, but this is all they have to do. But you can't rely on these things. I mean, we talk about multi-apping and making sure that we're on all these other platforms. That's good and all, of course, and you should. But like you were saying, the way the market has been, and same thing with my area, is people want to go out, they want to get their food, they want to go to the restaurants. Delivery is very. I just ordered DoorDash a couple nights ago. It's not cheap. It's much easier and cheaper for me to go pick it up.
Yeah, I don't know what Henderson's like, but I will tell you here, people are absolutely, like you're saying, they want to get out again, kind of thing.
They
But
have
I will tell you, a lot of these kitchens and restaurants, and a lot of them are awesome. I've known of them for years. They haven't really transformed back into fully open or really staffed and things. They're kind of still just running the ghost kitchen model for these delivery services.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like people are wanting to go out and there's nobody there to serve them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is an issue with that. There's some places that are raging it, and all of the servers and bartenders in town are gravitating towards those places. So
Yeah.
it's making those more hotspots, but it's leaving a lot of other places just dead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, see, it's a dying market out there with these restaurants because of the pandemic.
No,
but
but
it definitely changed it.
But I'm just saying, as it comes back, because it will. I mean, it's not gonna. I'm sure some places will close, but if they have a liquor license attached, somebody else is gonna buy it and reopen it.
Yeah.
Something
Oh,
else.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
eventually things will be fully reopened. And I like to put that warning out there to people, because people are pretty convinced that the pandemic made this a thing that will stay like this forever.
No.
And I just don't really see things that way. I don't see that, I don't think things will ever go back to exactly how they were, but that's not saying that it's going to be worse. It's just going to be different. But when it does, people will be going back to life.
Yeah. Well, you have to, it's like anything in life. You have to be prepared, is it nicer and easy? I mean, I love my job. I love being a teacher. I love my students more than not as much as my kids, but I do love them.
Right.
But it's one of those things where, of course, it was much easier for me to go out and do deliveries. Of course, I love the flexibility. I love the being able to, if I didn't want to work one day, not working that day, but doubling up on the next day. So it's hard to kind of go back to like you said, life, and to put these apps aside and just realize that this shouldn't be, we can't rely on these things. We can't as long term, and like everyone else, I got very comfortable, but then slowly as our restaurants started opening back up, money, I'm sitting there in my car waiting for orders. Nothing is coming through. You panic. At least I did, You worry like, well, I don't necessarily like most making someone else money. I want to be able to do that myself. But at the same time, there's something to be said for that stability and that knowing that income is going to come in, and no matter what, it is going to be there. So of course, the potential to make that plus some is always out there too. So you just, I don't know. For me, I had to do what's right for me.
I think you've done it perfect. I mean, you went back to what you love.
Yeah.
You're doing that. You've got your job, but you've got the awesomeness of the one piece of awesomeness in the gig economy is that you can stop doing it for 6 months.
Oh yeah.
You can pick it back up. You can do whatever you want. It's still always there for you. But not only is it just there for you, you're still optimizing it to make even more money.
And I enjoy it.
And you enjoy it. Well, I mean, that's kind of a must. I think that if you don't enjoy it, really, we don't see you around after 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's being nice. I know some people who quit after like a week.
Well, and I
know are hard workers who gave, locally, even that I know, who gave it a fair shake. They're just like, I hate this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, why am I taking these? I'm only getting offers for $2. I'm not going to bother. I don't blame them.
Right. Yeah.
I don't. And I might've been that way too. If I started off doing it full time, I might've thought, forget this, $2, forget this. But because I
always tell people to ease into it. Don't just quit a job and go, you know what? Yeah. All my friends are raging it. I'm going to DoorDash.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't, maybe cut back your hours at another place.
Yeah.
And what you might find doing that, oddly, is you might find that employer offering you more money.
Right.
Please don't cut back your hours, and here's a raise. And now all of a sudden you're faced with another decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, it kind of teaches you how to not only own your own business, but how to understand your own worth.
Makes sense. Yep. Definitely.
I mean, because if you say, I want to do DoorDash, I'm sick of my job, and you go to your boss and say, listen, I'm going to only work 20 hours, not 40 anymore. Just wanted to let you know for the upcoming schedules. And he says to you, listen, we can't afford to lose you. What would it take to keep you to stay?
And I
suggest to everybody, take that home and say, listen, can you give me 24 hours to sleep on that?
Right.
And I guarantee you, even if you still end up saying, no, I need to stick with the 20, you might come up with some good ideas, and you might stick with your other job. And I'm not trying to tell people don't get in the gig economy. It's just,
no.
People have a lot more value than they're worth. And it makes me sick, because right now is a time when you can prove that to the companies even.
Yeah.
Saying that saying, I just can't do this, I'm going to walk. Companies are not in a position to be able to lose you.
Yeah.
I would hope you wouldn't do that kind of thing to a mom and pop that has to compete with the Amazons of the world and things.
Yeah.
But if it's any kind of corporation job and you have it, you're in a really good position right now to say, you know what, I need to make more money. Even if that just feels weird, like I would have never done that in the past. We're in a different place right now. I mean, I've told people you can go get jobs that you couldn't have got before.
I mean,
that you're probably not qualified for.
Yeah.
You can go get that right now, and they will hire you and train you and everything. If you want a W-2 job, there are good ones out there.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're everywhere, so I agree with you. I do. I think we have to know our worth, know our value and know our worth. And
I think too many people don't know their worth is the thing.
Yeah.
I think they see them on here and this.
Listen, I have turned down I know my worth as being a preschool teacher. I know what I'm, do I get paid wonderfully?
I was just gonna say, no, you don't, because you don't get paid enough.
Because teachers don't get paid enough, and especially preschool teachers.
I know a lot of teachers, actually.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, my ex is a teacher too.
So. Oh, she's a teacher. Okay.
So I mean, I know what they go through, and I know what they get paid. And I know what they put into it. I know that at the beginning of the school year, she buys all the supplies. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, they'll give me this much back. I'm like, but you spent this. And she's like, I need it to be right.
Well, listen, but that's what we do is,
I know. You guys really do. I mean, if people don't know that's the kind of little things I'm telling people, like, listen, you don't even know they throw in their own money and it doesn't get repaid to them.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it doesn't just stop once you're at school either. I mean, especially for like the elementary or higher grades, where you're off the clock when you're grading those papers. I'm off the clock and I'm looking up how to do say there's a behavior, how to research that, how to take these classes, how to any kind of a project. So that's all on our terms, but so no, you don't get paid a lot, but I have definitely turned down quite a few teaching positions because I know my worth, and even though it's not, I don't get paid that great, well, I'm not going to take anything less than than what I know my potential is. So anyways,
right. I mean, the zone. I'm just saying you're underpaid, period.
Oh, 100%.
But the zone, in that zone, you're probably paid as well as you could. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying that you're just.
Oh no, yeah.
I get it. Just underpaid as it is.
It's just.
But but it's not just.
We do it because we love it.
A lot of people are. So
you do it because you love the kids. That's why.
No. Yeah, I mean, and that's a great point to end on here. Is that no matter what it is you're doing, we're in a new day and age. Make sure you love it. Yeah. It is crucial that you love what you're doing now, because the workforce is going to become a really just hard place to be in. So it's a time when, if you've ever wanted to do something specific and go, I don't have the training, I feel like you could just walk into places and say that. Be honest. You say, I don't have the training, but I've always wanted to do this. I hate my job.
Yeah.
And that place might literally say, listen, we'll train you. Great attitude.
They're desperate. I believe it.
I mean, you could switch gears, and things you didn't think were possible, you can make possible right now. So happiness right now, I think, is key. That's the part of the pandemic we're at.
I agree. Couldn't agree with you more, Steve. 100%. So absolutely.
Everybody, make sure you're happy, and if you're doing some gig work on the side, be safe. But and if you want to do it full time, make sure it's working for you. If it's not, try other platforms, try other things. Yeah. But Ellen, I want to thank you for coming on today.
This is so much fun. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate it.
And before we end though, and I'll put everything in the show notes for Ellen. Where can people find you? Like plug yourself here.
So, of course, you guys can go on YouTube and just type Delivering with Ellen. You're going to find me there. I have a Instagram channel, trying to grow that too. That's also Delivering with Ellen. And that's about it for right now.
Nothing on Facebook, nothing on.
I mean, it's just my personal stuff on Facebook. Okay. So yeah, no, I never thought about doing a Facebook page for delivery. I don't know why. I guess I haven't thought. I want to keep it kind of separate. So that's just my personal page right now. But I couldn't figure out how to share my channel. I know you were asking in an email how to share my Instagram channel with you. I could, if I went to it's weird. If I went to someone else's channel, I could share that. But when I looked at mine, I couldn't figure it out. So, but it's really easy. If you just look up.
It's just Instagram.com/ your user handle. So it'd be delivering with Ellen.
Well, maybe that, but I looked, but it's so.
I know what you're saying. It's and especially from the app, it's a little weird.
So annoying. It was.
I was from like, a computer, you can get to it though.
Okay.
From the computer, you can. Oh, okay. Because when you click your avatar for home or whatever, that should bring up your page. That's I don't know.
Again, I actually went on Google and said, how do I do this? I'm one of those people that I'm that person.
Yeah.
That
to be honest, I don't know that I got the link. Like I usually just get people's links by actually on Instacart or on Instagram. It's always this way. I always have to, I just put it in. I just type in Instagram.com / whatever their handle is. I look it up first. Okay. Because maybe that's why too. Maybe I haven't been able to figure out how to get it.
Well, so I was like, you go to the profile, you go to the picture, you look at the plus sign. I don't know. So anyways, but it's just Delivering with Ellen,
So the two platforms.
Two platforms. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. As of right now. Yeah.
No, but I'll put those in the show notes.
I appreciate that.
You guys should all go check Ellen's channel out and give her a subscribe.
Yay.
Like a video or two. She's got some different good ones up there, and she's one of those people who works all four of the platforms. So post a question on one of her videos if you got them. I'm sure she'd answer.
Definitely.
I'm not sure, but I'm looking at her guessing she would answer them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Or if you have any advice for me too, like if you're like,
well, that's the other thing that we talked about in the beginning is that you ask for advice. I love that about your videos. You're like, I took this order. What would you guys do? Like,
would you take that? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I recommend to go post on there and get in the conversation a little bit, because that's a quick way to learn too. Like, why did you take it? Did it pay off?
Right. Right. Did you learn your lesson? Yeah.
So again, thank you. This was fun. And
thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
We'll stay in touch, and best of luck.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm going to keep, putting out videos. I'm going to keep watching your stuff. So I appreciate it.
Some of it's pretty deep dive, heavy stuff. I know, but
it's okay.
But I do say to everybody, you should watch it. I don't put up, I have all the episodes of the podcast. I am only bringing over right now. I'm bringing over a lot, but I'm bringing over ones that I really think that even if you're like, it's long and it looks like it's about a tough topic. Like,
that's okay though.
I'm telling people you need to listen to these, because when I do put these together, a lot of thought goes into these, and we spend a lot of time getting the right information to people instead of just guessing on stuff.
No,
we're giving you solid information. If I have something up, it's real.
No, it's good. I mean, like the more we know, the better, and if you're willing to help us out, then that's amazing. So but well, thank you so much. I feel honored. Let me just say that I just feel honored that you asked me to do this.
Yeah, it was fun. I love having people on. I love meeting new people. Thank you. Thank you for coming on, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. You have a nice night.
Okay.